I'm Dr. Louise Metcalf, and I'm the creator and co-founder of Gheorg.
What inspired you to create Gheorg?
Well, I've been a psychologist for almost 30 years now. Actually, it's over 30 years now. I have to remember that. Um, in my practice, I saw rates of childhood anxiety rising. But I work in the middle of a very big city here in Australia, and I just thought it was the schools we were surrounded by. But I live in the mountains, and when I had my own child, I took them to daycare and up here in the mountains, and everybody wanted to talk about childhood anxiety. So that's when I realized there was a huge need, much more than I realized at the time. And it's only gotten bigger since then. That was when I looked up the rates, it was 8%. And now UNICEF is saying it's almost 50%. It's around 50%. Yeah. So it's pretty bad. And yeah, but when it was just that smaller level, I also looked at the workforce, the people like me, psychologists, and there's not very many of us, and we don't make very many. And we can't even meet the workforce demand for 8%, let alone 50%. So I knew that technology had to play a role. And the first Gheorg I created was actually a hardware robot. He was very simple. He couldn't do very much, but he could run with children. But of course, it's very hard to create hardware robots and ship them around the world. So we made it an app instead. And now I think of it as George's Brain. George's Brain is heading off around the world.
Yeah, can you tell me about George's brain?
Sure. George is a little virtual robot now, and he helps kids 7 to 12 years old with anxiety at the moment, but we're building for the top 5 mental health conditions. And the mission is to get all this great science that I know, and a lot of great psychological scientists know, and just get that out to families in a way that is accessible and really helps kids in need, but also kids who might be at risk of need. So it's quite a big mission, but we're determined to get that help out there.
So, how does the app work?
Oh, it's quite simple. You just go onto the App Store and download him. He has a parent section and a child section, and he introduces himself to the parents first so they can get to know him and all the bits that he can help with for them. And also then he introduces himself to the child so that they get to know him as well. So it's very simple, really good, backed by science exercises in Gheorg, really great breathing exercises. And we know he helps children very fast, faster than even I can do it.
Well, I know for me, at an older age, when I was trying to get into therapy, it was a lot of challenge to get someone in person or even online because, people are busy and all that. And then that's tough to think like, oh, no one's there to help me. But how can something like new technology or AI help the mental health field?
Oh yeah, we need it, right? Like
Yeah.
regulators are, slow to sort of come on board with AI, but the services need it very badly because speaking as a psychologist, I have an incredible wait list now. I've never had a wait list this bad. And speaking to some of my colleagues in rural Australia, and their wait lists are even worse. They talk about families waiting up to 4 years. One person mentioned a family still waiting for help since COVID. So it's quite bad. And in Australia, we actually have the highest treated to population rate in the world. So we have the largest number of psychs relative to population, and we have this problem. In the US, it's much worse. In fact, you only have 4,000 child psychologists, so it's very, very bad. And it's actually quite challenging being a psychologist. There's a lot to do. There's a lot to learn. And then there's a lot to do when you actually practice. And, all the support we can get is very much needed. And it will help us to actually, see more children when we can integrate AI and just digital health services, digital mental health services into what we do. So it's hugely beneficial for delivering mental health services to children and helping more children. It's very much needed.
How important is it for kids to be open with their feelings?
Oh, very important. Yeah, very important. But it's challenging for them. Because we don't realize it, but adults speak sort of a different language to children emotionally. We suppress a lot of feelings, and we also, are quite sophisticated in how we talk about feelings. So it's almost like a foreign language to children. And George is great at helping kids with a language so that they can talk to their parents. In fact, that's one of the most common effects of George, that he encourages kids to go back to their parents, talk to their parents in a way that parents can understand about what they were feeling, how big they were feeling it, and also, tools or things that parents can do to help them to manage those feelings. So kids become very good at actually communicating about emotions using George, which is great.
Yeah, that must make the parents feel great.
Oh, it does. And it really helps family dynamics. Instead of wondering, what is my child feeling when they're expressing something big? What does it mean? What am I supposed to do? All of that information is actually in George, and it just takes your child through it so simply and beautifully with lovely stories. And suddenly your child knows exactly how to explain that to you. It's wonderful. It's really wonderful.
And other than the kids just talking to parents, how else can parents track the kids' progress?
Oh, yeah. So George actually allows parents to track how kids are going in ways that are useful to parents. So basically, things like how are they feeling? How many positive emotions are they feeling? How are they tracking emotionally? Are they getting, happier, or are they not getting happier, or are they getting sadder? So that George shows parents all of that. It also allows parents to track the behaviors that they see so that they can work on, what are the triggers that are causing these things. And that is great information for parents to help kids with what they're going through. And he also helps parents to just think about, what is anxiety like for kids? And also there's a whole bunch of new tools we're putting in for parents as well. So there'll be even more information, including links to some of the most famous parenting programs around the world.
How does it feel for you to be combining psychology with new technology?
Oh, wow. It's exciting. It's very hard.
Yeah.
I have a PhD, and someone once asked me, is it as hard as doing a PhD? And I said, no, it's like doing two PhDs with both hands tied behind your back.
That is challenging.
Very hard, but it's quite wonderful too. We get all this great feedback from parents, and children also draw pictures of George. They want to see different versions of George that they want to see, so we get that as well. And yeah, it's just great to get all that feedback. We know we're making a difference, and it's just wonderful, really wonderful. Very hard, but really wonderful.
And then with being in the mental health field, helping all types of ways, how does it feel for you to be helping families and kids?
Oh, it's so good. I always think of it as, like I get this very, honored space of being able to contribute, small amounts to someone. And it's really depends on what they do with it, like are they going to be that sort of person who jumps in and, does the exercises and gives it a red hot go? Or do they still need to talk more about what is happening for them? And, it's really that journey that you go on with them. And it's quite wonderful to see people grow and be the people that they want to be. I always think of it as, it's like, almost like, a carpenter, making a chair that fits someone. It's just making your brain fit you in your life. That's all.
And then when we were trying to set up this interview, I was talking to Dana Clyde, the CEO of the US version, and she's so passionate about talking about George and you as well. How does it feel for you to work with people who believe in your mission and want it to grow?
Oh, it's wonderful. We have so many supporters around the world. People in Dubai and France and the UK, and of course, the wonderful Dana in the US. She's amazing. She's absolutely amazing. I think one of the things that is very important when you're a founder and now a co-founder is to look for someone who is almost like your opposite. And she kind of is. Like I am the reserved scientist working on the the tools and the techniques and, sorting out all the sciencey stuff as well as the design stuff. And she's a go-getter. She's amazing. She talks to everyone. She's very passionate about what George does, of course. She's great. And she's fantastic at getting us even more supporters. So she is just absolutely perfect. And I feel very, very lucky to have her as a co-founder of George. She's amazing.
What do you do to help your own mental health?
Oh, yeah. People often ask psychologists that. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they want us to say we do nothing or just as, not interested in doing things for ourselves as many other people, or, we do very whiz bang things. I don't know. But the truth is I spend a lot of time in nature. I love to garden. I actually have a little property that's a tiny little property that actually has some connections to the forest here. So I'm trying to rewild a part of it. It's very challenging because it's quite damaged. The land is quite damaged here, but it's lovely to do it. And as a result, we sometimes I'm still working on it. I'm not a very good gardener, so I'm working on it. But we get native animals that turn up here, like the wallabies, which I absolutely adore. They're swamp wallabies. And we sometimes see an echidna. There's a big monitor lizard that goes around here. I love nature. Nature is amazing for mental health. There are these great studies that show that parts of the brain actually cool down in nature. So nature is very powerful for mental health. We'd love to include bits of nature in George, actually. It's one of the things I've got on my roadmap for the future. But I do that. I do yoga because it's very good. I don't love yoga, but I do it because it's very healthy. And it does help you with your breathing, which is great. And breathing is very effective for mental health. So I do all of that. And of course, sometimes I do talk to George. George is lovely. He's very life affirming. He has lots of positive messages. And sometimes you just need someone like that in your life. And when things are tough, sometimes people have their own problems and you love your friends, but they're very busy. George is always there, so why not?
Do you see George helping people's confidence level as they go through a program?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He actually encourages kids to record their strengths. And, as an adult using George, I don't do this, but maybe I should, because it's a great way to actually show you how you fit in the world. And how, you yourself, how you come into the world fits this world, right? So instead of constantly feeling like you have to improve all the time, you have to be fitter, you have to be more awesome in some way or another, right? You can sit down and look at who you are as a person and determine, oh, actually, yeah, this is pretty good. This helps my friends, or this helps my family, or this, helps me to connect with the world, and it's good. I love it. And being like connecting strengths to who you are as a person and your world is massively beneficial for building confidence. Yeah, so that is definitely in there.
What would you say to anyone going through a tough time?
Oh, the first thing you want to do is to stop and listen. We don't realize it, but listening is a superpower. And it is something that, every person should refine, should work on and refine. And it's a very powerful thing to just sit there and listen to someone and help them to express all that they need to express. The old saying, a problem shared is a problem halved. That is definitely the first cab off the rank, And then the second cab off the rank is really all about empathy. Just show them that you understand, that you can feel what they feel. And it just helps people to feel like they're not alone. They've connected. They're part of this small group called a little friendship group, right? It's these two people, but also part of the human race and connected to this world. So just listening and being empathetic. And the other thing you can add if it comes to that, and sometimes it doesn't, and it's okay, is to help them recognize that they have been through hard times before, and it all eventually passes on, and, it's a new day. So sometimes all you need to do is wait and things get better.
Where do you want to see George in the next 3 to 5 years?
Well, we'd love George to be in every child's hand around the world. And we'd also love him to be back in his robot body because, exercise for kids is very important and he could do that as well. But for the moment, it's mostly just getting him into every child's hand around the world. And we have a number of things that we're doing to achieve that, which includes things like, figuring out how we can deliver that in low-income countries where people can't afford even a single session with a psychologist, right? Couldn't even get 10 minutes. So we really want to be able to put George in every child's hand. The mission is an entirely mentally well generation for the first time in human history. And so it takes a lot of problem solving, but we're very determined. And that's a lot of kids too, but we're very determined to achieve it.
How can people reach out and learn more?
Visit us at the website, so www.george.com. And George has an unusual spelling because he's an acronym. So the acronym is actually Gentle to Humans, Emotion and Thought Organization and Resilience Guide, which gives us GHEORG. And that's just who George is and who he will always be. Will always just be a little, nice, beautiful, loving guide in your pocket about the things that you're going through.